Hey everybody, this is Seaside Sports Sims, and I'm going to go over some of my slider set adjustment philosophies, tips and tricks, what I look at as far as adjusting my sliders goes in the game. I'm going to use NHL 17 as an example here. Now, a lot of people just play these games on, say, All-Star or Heisman, All Madden, they use these blanket settings to increase or decrease the difficulty of their games. Now, I don't agree with that because, for example, in NHL 17, we are almost 50 games into the season, and the first game against the Calgary Flames is going to be a lot different than this next game that I play against the Calgary Flames, because there's 48 games in between, and I have obviously gotten better at this game in those 48 games. So the blanket system of changing difficulty, in my opinion, does not work, because I have spent the past 50 games fine-tuning my gameplay sliders and settings. And if you change that with one blanket move, you are going to screw up all the work that you've put in. And besides, we're not playing this game like it's Halo, right? We're playing this game to try to simulate the NHL season and simulate NHL hockey. If I'm playing this game like it's Halo and I just want to, quote, beat it on the hardest level, then yeah, go ahead and use those blanket settings that EA has manufactured and put out there. But if I just go in, like, we're 50 games into this, and I'm better than I was at the first. And I've been feeling like maybe the last 6 or 7 games I've even improved more, and probably need to make it a little bit more difficult. But if I just go in and change the blanket setting from, one thing to a higher level, that's going to screw up all of the other gameplay, statistics-driven settings that I have made throughout the season, and who knows what aspects of the game that blanket setting is going to make harder. Maybe it's just going to make my goaltender suck worse, and that's not necessarily what I want. There's specific parts of the game that I want to be harder. For example, I want the opponents to be able to back skate a little bit faster, because I'm finding that my guys are beating them down the wings when they're back skating, and I don't like that. So a blanket change to your settings is not going to fix that particular problem, most likely. It's a lot of times when you shift that blanket setting, it's basically going to feel like it's shifting ice tilt, and it's going to make you frustrated because the game's going to feel cheap. So you've got to make specific gameplay changes. And so what I'm going to do quickly here is go into our settings. Now I simply want the CPU guys to be faster at back skating. So I'm going to come into this back skating setting. It's how much speed a player loses when back skating. So the lower the value, the slower players will skate backwards, compared to how fast they skate forward. So at the higher setting, your back skating is going to be exactly the same as your regular skating speed. Well, I don't want it exactly the same, because nobody can skate backwards as fast as they can forwards. But I don't want my guys beating the CPU down the wings as often as they are. So I'm just going to make a small adjustment and see how that plays out. I'm going to go from 50 to maybe 57. And we're just going to see how that plays out in the game. If it's still not fast enough, we'll come in and do a little bit more, but I don't like to overdo it. So that's the simple adjustment we're going to make for this next game, and we'll see how that plays out. But I quickly want to go over some of my suggestions for making gameplay adjustments. And this doesn't just go for NHL 17. This goes for every sports game that you play. First of all, play the games. Don't sim games. Play them. B, analyze your statistics. Go over them with a fine-tooth comb. Decide where the statistics are falling short compared to average statistics of a real NHL game. And if you have to go online and look at statistics, box scores from actual NHL games, do it. or any other sport that you're doing, look at statistics meticulously. Don't overreact. If you give up 7 goals in a game, do not go in and make your goaltender astronomically better, because people give up 7 goals in a game sometimes. So don't overreact. If you give up 7 goals in 3 or 4 games out of 6, then you might have an issue with your settings that you want to fix. But don't overreact based on one game, because anomalies happen, so you've got to allow anomalies to happen in the game. And finally, evolve. As you get better, make adjustments to make the game harder on you, or it's going to get boring. It's going to get too easy. You're going to win every game. You're going to win the championship, everything. Keep it realistic. Keep yourself accountable and evolve as you get better. Those are my tips to making these sports games better for you and more realistic. But be meticulous about changing your slider settings and watching how the gameplay goes. Anyway, I hope this has helped. What I am looking for in NHL 17 in particular is I want high scoring games, I want low scoring games. I want 1 goal wins, I want multiple goal wins. I want higher shooting games, lower shooting games. I want more physical games, less physical games. I want variety, and I feel like I've achieved it with the slider settings that I have now. But again, I'm just making minor adjustments to specific things to make the game better for me. But after meticulously doing this for 50 games almost, I feel like I have a really good slider set. I do not go with blanket EA Sports customized slider settings to make the game more difficult. I change them specifically, and I would encourage you to do as well. Thanks for joining us. This is SSS, Seaside Sports Sims, and happy gaming, friends.